Call to order the Board of Aviation Commissioners monthly meeting, November 14th, 2019. Members present, myself, Kurt Hunter, Greg Poole, Jeff Bartlett, T.Y. Okerson, also Jessica Ward, Airport Manager, Gene Simmons, City Council Liaison, and Paul Schaefer, our BFNS consultant. With everybody? Yeah. Okay, members absent, none. Did everybody get a chance to read the October regular meeting? Yes.
I make a motion to accept this.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, financials.
All right, account balances. So I'm going to be transferring money around to correct the negative balances in some of our accounts before November 22nd. That's when all of our minor and major transfers are due for the end of the year. I'm not going to be needing to do any major transfers. Those need council approval. Those are transfers between our three sets of accounts, which are the personal services, supplies, and then other services and charges. I don't know if I've ever actually went over that with you, Jeff. I just wanted to bring it now.
Okay.
And there's no red flags with our operating budget, and I don't see any before the year is up. Encumbrances for capital items are due by December 13th, which our scheduled meeting is the 12th, so one day after that. We have some money in our capital projects account that will be uncovered for upcoming projects before the end of the year, so I figured we could discuss it later. I put on the manager report. And that's everything for fuel sales.
What makes it a major transfer?
Not fuel, financial.
Management.
Okay, so a major transfer, we have these three sets of accounts.
Right.
Some start with a 1, others a 2, and then others a 3. So in order for us to change, transfer any money from personnel kind of accounts to cover our supplies,
Right.
you have to go to the council and ask permission to do that.
Okay,
That's a
so
major.
even if it's just a nickel.
Correct. Whatever it is, in order to transfer between accounts. But anything in the ones, I can transfer money back and forth without needing to get a council for. It's just a minor transfer in that account.
Thank you. Fuel sales.
Fuel sales, overall we sold 1,451.1 gallons of 100 low lead, 1,971 gallons of Jet A, and 121.9 gallons of Swift fuel in October. Our self-service 100 low lead is $4.30 a gallon, full service is $4.40 a gallon, Jet A is $3.30 for both self and full service, and our self-service UL 94 is $4.43 a gallon. And we did have NOx, which snuck in lower than our fuel prices. They dropped down to $3.97 for 100 low lead self-service, and they dropped down to $3.28, 2 cents less than us, on purpose, for the Jet A self-service. But other than that, closest report in Roper, we are less than.
Maybe I missed this, but how come Jet A, self and full are the same?
So the only person that really uses the self-service would be like Troy when he was doing his operation over there. So I always did that 5 cents less. But for anybody that's coming in, they always get full. There's no reason. So what you do is we go by, we charge 50 cents more. Yeah, so I don't want to charge an extra 5 cents for full when that's what everybody gets,
Right.
So they're the same price, so I don't charge for full service.
Okay.
So that's what I do here.
Right.
I wonder why NOx is lower. Is that because of the fuel prices? Can
No.
we go lower?
No, it's not. We have every single airport manager in this whole area has been calling her for years, asking her to play a little more fair, and there's no way that she can be making any money. And she doesn't want to make money on fuel sales. She just wants to get the traffic in. So she's not doing it to make revenue. So she literally either breaks even. Sometimes she actually loses money.
Okay.
Because she just wants to be the lowest, regardless of
Well,
revenue making.
so be it.
You can ask anyone, I'm telling you it's the truth. So.
What, in your opinion, would be the biggest difference between last year's and this year for our Jet A sales?
I definitely think, I haven't completely looked at how Troy was doing this year compared to last year.
Okay.
In the beginning of the year, he was down a lot compared to last year.
We had weather.
And then also, we did have one of our pilots that flew a lot with jet, wasn't able to fly that plane.
Okay.
So he purchased avgas plane instead. And he was probably the number one purchasing before Troy, of course, you know, the number one purchaser of jet fuel here on the field. And he can't fly that aircraft anymore.
So you think Troy's sales are down?
I'm not sure. I can't say that they are by the end of the
Well,
year.
I see, if you just look right up, Jet A Transient, I mean, maybe last year on the monthly one, 628, 1865.
It's kind of weird too, because I mean, if you look throughout the years at the top, like Jet A, we had 1,971. Last year was 4,117.
Right.
The year before that was 3,004, and the year before that was 1,041. I mean, it's like it always fluctuates.
I was just curious.
Yeah,
If it was
so-
some sort of. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anything other than that.
Okay.
Okay. Hang on, A5-2 update?
All right. So we have put our zero-turn lawnmowers and our little Cup Cadet that we use to spray the fence. We put those in the new hangar for winter storage. The city IT department has gotten all the utilities, private and public, marked to run the fiber for the Wi-Fi going down to that hangar. The city IT department's gonna run that fiber in-house for us. So the only thing that we're gonna have to pay for is the cost of the private utility location. And I don't have that cost yet. But I did approve it. So I've spoken with the gentleman that does the GIS work for the city too, because the problem is anytime that we need anything ran, we always have to call in for private utility location, and it costs a lot of money. And so we have somebody in the city that actually can map that out for us, and so they can come out and actually mark it themselves instead of having to pay somebody to come out and do it, because they just marked everything right now, so it's a good time to do it. So he's gonna come out and do the mapping for me and everything like that. He was gonna do it a couple weeks ago, but they got caught in all kinds of stuff, who knows what, and then the weather's been horrible. But they're gonna come out for me and do that, so I'm really excited about that. So as long as we keep up with our private utilities and anything new comes in, we have him come out and mark it on the map, then we shouldn't have to pay for private utility location again, which is great. We can also move forward with the estimates for heat and insulation at this point, if the board chooses to do so. Everybody in your packet has the quotes for those. And I kind of put together something. I'll try and go through it really slow, even though I'm a very quick talker. Best that we can. Good, see, this is what I'm doing first.
We'll keep up.
Fredericks, how do you say that? I'm not really sure.
Phoenicia.
What is it?
Phoenicia.
Panacea. Those are the two estimates for heating. So Frederick's estimate is $3,500. They're gonna install a new Allied Air 200,000 BTU hanging unit heater, which is the same as the other one. It includes material and labor, gas piping, low-high voltage, T-stat wire, and a Wi-Fi T-stat, which I'm kind of excited about. So I'll be able to change the heat settings from home if I need to. So I'm super excited about that part. A breaker, new chimney, and city permits. They have a 1-year warranty on parts, a 10-year warranty on the heater exchange, and a 1-year warranty on labor.
Okay.
So the only difference between that and Panacea,
Phoenicia, yes.
for $3,962.41, is they literally have a 2-year warranty on labor. That's the only difference. They have a 1-year on parts, 10-year on the heat exchanger, 2-year on labor. They didn't say what kind of thermostat they would install, if it's a Wi-Fi or not. I'm not really sure about that. But they also put that the city permits, including pressure testing and inspection, is all going to be included. So I called Fredericks to make sure it's included in theirs, and he said yes, it was. So it's the exact same quote except for 2-year warranty on labor. 2-year warranty, on labor instead of 1 year. And I mean, is that worth $462 extra? I mean, I don't know if that's.
Well, plus for the 3,500, you get the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, for the 3,500, we do get the Wi-Fi.
What's the southeast corner? What's the additional?
So the additional one, the southeast corner, so these are going to be mounted right where you would open like the man door for the hangar. It's going to be right above the man door in that corner, because that's where the gas piping is.
So they don't have to change anything.
So they don't have to change anything. So the more expensive one is if they mount it in the back corner instead. So it's kind of like all the way on the opposite side. So that's for that mount. And I mean, I don't really know much about that kind of stuff, but I mean, Kirk was here when they did come out and talk about it. One of the guys said that he suggested us do it like in the back corner, but the other one said he didn't feel like it was gonna be that much of a difference. whether we did it there, except for obviously they'd have to run the pipe all the way over
So
there.
right now, the distribution of heat, depending on if it's above the door, is that gonna affect anything of dispersing out the heat or anything?
No, it's just one big giant.
Okay.
It's a big blower, so
Okay.
it should get.
Shouldn't be a problem, then just probably keep it where it's
You
at.
know what, if it doesn't work, we can come back and change it later.
Yeah, that's true.
So just keep the piping where it is now then.
Yeah. I agree.
So there's that. And then we have 3 estimates for installation, unless you guys wanna talk about it.
So
anything
this
else.
first.
Okay, sure. There is something else too, because we do have RO Roofing, they came out to do an estimate, and they wanted to do the estimate for the heater and for the installation. And then we had a company out in Lowell that does only blown insulation. They came out to give us an estimate, and I haven't gotten either of those back yet, but it's been 8 weeks. So, I mean, if we wanna wait and see if RO comes in cheaper for the combined of the installation and the heater, we can, or else we can, it's been 8 weeks, we haven't heard from them, so not go with it. That's up to you guys, but I just wanna throw that out there before
I'd rather
any,
see the action get taken on these issues, get it moved
Okay.
forward. That's my opinion.
QI, when do you plan on doing your build-up in there? When do you plan on using the hangar?
We have a new mayor, so we should probably move.
So I would like to get everything done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that.
Then you're ready to go.
Yeah, it'll be done before we start.
Oh, perfect, okay.
Yeah, so, I hope.
All right.
Well, so the Wi-Fi, is that any significant? I mean, can we ask Nicia to throw in Wi-Fi?
yeah,
Certainly good.
So we can get a 2-year labor, and, you know, this guy's only have 1 year, right? The Fredericks. So if we ask these guys, maybe they can just toss that in without additional charge.
yeah, and they're already $462 more for the
And then,
Wi-Fi.
so
Yeah,
we can request that
Yeah.
and just say, is that possible to include that as part of the install?
Well, we could do that, and also with, it was a Guth?
Fredericks?
Fredericks. We could ask them to match the warranty as well.
Yeah, it can be in the reverse, yeah.
So at least we're talking about the same things.
Okay, I can do that and get back to you guys if you want me to next month.
I just,
Well, there's a question, do we want to move on this and then?
I'm okay with the 1 year. I mean,
I am too.
that's,
Quite frankly.
I've got tons of stuff at home, it's always 1 year,
Yeah.
and, you know,
We never use it, so,
hopefully, I mean, that's the whole purpose, is like, you got a good product, you
Right.
shouldn't be coming back.
right.
I mean, I'm okay with the 1 year and the Wi-Fi and all that stuff, if that's what we wanna do, so we can go ahead and start getting everything wrapped up, so we're ready for spring.
Okay,
I'll entertain a motion on,
well, I'm okay with that as long as we can ask, you know, if they can extend that.
Sure.
I mean,
I will ask them if they can,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I would
Absolutely.
say okay, but then can they just toss it another
Okay.
year?
Correct.
Got it.
I'm good with that.
I'll make a motion to accept the one at Fredericks HVAC for $3,500 and see if they can extend it to 2 years.
Nice, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
So then the next 3 estimates are for installation. Gluth Brothers Construction Unlimited and Rodney Brewer Construction. So Gluth Brothers estimate is $32,128. They are going to, the company, install joist hangers on the roof rafts, new wood on the ceiling. They're gonna grid the ceiling for 2 feet wide fiberglass batt insulation. They're gonna put metal chicken wire on it to hold it in place. So the walls will be insulated to 3 inches thick roof insulation, and the door will be insulated with 1.5 inch roof insulation. They're also gonna install 1/2 inch by 8 foot plywood over the new insulation around the base of the 3 walls. So 1/2 inch, 8 foot plywood, all of them are 8 foot. This one's 1/2 inch plywood. This one's chicken wire, and they're gonna do the joisting, you know, they're gonna do the joist hangers for the roof rafts and stuff. So that's different, that's a totally different one. So then we have Construction Unlimited. They are $27,125, so they are less. This is the lowest one, Construction Unlimited. It includes vinyl faced pole barn insulation, which I'm assuming is batt, right? installation, for the walls and the ceiling. 2-inch foil face installation, for the inside of the hangar doors and the door seals. And the wall framing around is gonna be 8 foot high and with steel corrugated metal. That's what they're gonna use. So then the third one is Rodney Brewer Construction. His is $35,000. He is a guy that just does it by himself, but he can do commercial, no problem. He has the insurance that he needed and he's bonded, so he can do this as well. So his installation would be installed by Mompar Installation. They've only given preliminary numbers to him though. Based on a sight unseen. He sent them pictures and dimensions to go off of. So they said that they would spray foam the large overhead door. They're gonna install batt insulation on the ceiling and the walls and put a mesh over it to hold it in. And then Rodney would come in and install the 2x6 construction lumber, 2 foot on the center in between the truss members to hold up the bed insulation. So that's what he's planning on doing.
And that's in the roof as well, right?
Correct. And then he would install 2x6 construction lumbers on all walls every 2 foot in height to hold the new 3/4 wall boards is what he's putting on. Then he would need to extend the electrical outlets to coincide with the new wall boards because they're thick and he's putting up.
Right.
And that's $35,000. And that number is pending Mompar actually coming in with that exact number. They just said, from your pictures and your dimensions, this is what we're gonna charge.
Well,
But that's all they would give him unless, he was chosen. So,
I'll tell you my opinion, you may have heard this, I like the 3/4 inch plywood, substantial. I like the blown, not blown in, the foam blown insulation on the door. It's a better product for something that's being moved all the time.
What, you mean the spray foam?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that
Which one
too.
is the spray foam?
the
Cool.
Rodney Brewer construction estimate.
I've got spray foam in my house, so.
Yeah.
So I did call a place in Lowell that all they do is spray foam, and they did not give me an estimate. And this is like a totally great project for Polar.
Right.
This is like, he said it was great, I don't know why he hasn't given me one yet. So that was the only ones that I was waiting on, but it's been 8 weeks. And then they even exchanged information with RL Roofing, and they were gonna work together, and he could be a sub, and then I haven't gotten anything, so. But I tried to go that route, because I heard the spray foam was really great.
That's great.
Yeah. What do you think,
But
Ray?
I know it costs a lot more.
But you look at every door that's always falling out.
He hasn't quoted what the R value is on that
On glue
particular
or?
process.
No, because I
We got
think,
one R value at 38 and one at 19. I mean, that's a huge
So the
difference.
38's in the roof, right? And the
Right.
19's in the side.
No, not for this guy. This is walls and ceiling.
Yeah, Construction Unlimited,
Yeah.
it's the R19 walls and
Yeah.
ceiling.
You really, I mean, the R value is when you save money on the heating
Oh, yeah.
costs. It'll pay for the insulation
Right.
in just a few years. I don't know.
So the 38
I don't
is
know. I
better?
just don't know what I don't know what that.
he said he's available for a call. Do you want me to call him and ask?
Well, I just don't know what. How does that question?
But I mean, he might not know, because that's the Mompar thing that they just gave him a quick.
Right. If we're not gonna get it done in the next month, can we?
Yeah, we
Back
can,
next
there's no
month.
reason we need this right now. So we can wait. We will just have one, literally, it just needs to be done
I
next
just wanna have
day.
apples and apples. I wanna know what is the R value for this and the
Okay.
R value for this.
Yeah, because his shows 38, the R value is 38 for glue spreader.
Right, that's appropriate for a hanger.
38 is good. So
Yeah,
what about the other individual that hasn't got in touch with you? Is there a way to
Oh, that spray foam?
yeah, I can call him, yeah.
get him to see if he can send you an estimate or something?
And you might wanna ask Booth Brothers as well, can you spray foam the door? You know.
Yeah, they don't
for
do spray
integrity.
foaming.
Well,
They do
you
not
can just
spray foam.
ask them.
Yeah,
What's he
when
gonna
they
use,
came out-
just chicken wire, is that what I read?
Yep, he's gonna do chicken, and
I
actually,
think that's the same as the mesh in the other one, I
yeah,
believe.
that hanger, one of the hangers up here is all chicken wire. It actually looks really nice, And they did
Well, the
that,
chicken wire is just to hold it. And then
yeah,
put it-
and it just looks nice, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Well,
like a nice
professional.
finish,
Yeah.
correct. And so I kind of like that.
Alright.
But yeah, I can call the spray foam place, find out if they are interested in giving us an estimate. But that's gonna be totally apples to oranges, cause that's not gonna be anything like any of this, you know? Cause I've heard they're way
I thought
more
that's what
expensive.
this guy was.
He's just doing the door and spray foam. The rest of it he's doing back.
Yeah.
It's not the whole thing.
But we don't even know what the back is.
No, we don't.
2x6, I don't know what that is. It could be 19, it could be, I don't know what it is.
Well, 2x6 should be.
No, 2x6 is minimum for 19. You need 2x6.
Is it?
Well, no, you could do it. Yeah.
Well, be upfront with them and just tell them the value you want and see if they can provide an estimate based on that value, 38.
Should we table this till our next meeting?
Yeah, it's just this far.
Okay.
That sounds good. Did they say how long this would take if we give them a green light on any of this, how long this would take for the work? Just a couple weeks project or a week or?
They didn't say.
Well, I do have one question. This guy says works for himself, which guy?
Rod Brewer.
Let's see.
But he can't do all this stuff himself. can he?
No, the installation is gonna be installed
Right,
by
I
them.
understand, but.
For doing the framing work, I mean, that's what he's proposing. I don't know if
He
he
must
might
have
bring a
somebody
couple
else,
people or
yeah.
something, but it's his own construction company, and it's just called Rod Brewer Construction.
Oh.
I mean, he just uses his own name for it.
6 number would be installed.
Let's table that till
Every two
next month and we'll get some answers on.
What's 2?
Okay, so I'm asking Rod what the R value is gonna be on Mompar's installation.
And also.
And you know what,
give a
maybe
solid
I'll ask-
estimate on-
2x6 construction.
Maybe I'll ask if, since there's planning on spray foaming the overhead door, if they could just spray foam the
Maybe it's
rest.
this way, he's putting it this way.
I don't know if they can or not. I mean-
Really can.
I mean, I could ask.
Like
If it's Montmar insulation, they should be able
I get
to.
it.
But I was told the only place that actually does all spray foam, only spray foam, is that place in Lowell. I don't even,
I think it's real pricey when you do that.
it is, I know.
By any chance,
Everybody told me that.
when you contact these people, could you see if they have a picture of any previous work that they've done of hangers, what they look inside, just so that we have an idea of,
Sure,
just curious to see what their work looks like.
okay,
Okay, let's move on then.
okay.
Vending machines,
Did somebody make a motion to table, or did we just say we're tabling?
I just said the table.
Okay. Vending machines, yes. I ordered a vending machine. PO is in for a new drink snack combo machine. I ordered it from Schaefer Distribution Company, is their name.
Not Costco.
Not Costco. It actually was Sam's Club that I looked. And I looked other places. That was just the one that I had right there on available. So actually, this is what I did. Yeah, this is what I did. I actually called American Vending Sales out of Elk Grove Village, Illinois, and they're the ones that transferred me to Schaefer Distributing Company, and they're out of Columbus, Ohio, because I guess we're in their distribution area. I also called Select Event, which was the one from Sam's Club, to ask about their machines that they sell at Sam's Club, to find out if they were going to call me back, if it was going to be quick, and, you know, they never called me back. Isn't that funny? I thought so. So that was out. So the machine, including deliveries, $4,941.98. They're willing to give us a trade-in for our machines, $200 each. So I called our city IT manager to find out if he's planning on doing any auctions for the city. And he said next year he is, so we feel like we can get more than that at an auction. So
Sounds good.
we're gonna keep them for the auction, and
That's
so
right.
I declined the trade-in. Delivery on the machine should be set up soon, and they actually are gonna come out and train me on how to use the machine, so I don't have to actually read the manual. Isn't that exciting? Easy for me. There you have it. It's gonna be great.
You know, we all thought that was a great idea.
And use their money.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
So you can set up a meeting to train the board for
Oh, yeah?
how to use the
How to
machine.
use the machine? So, there you have it, vending machine. End of
How
year.
much was that? 4,000 what?
It was $4,941.98.
Okay.
So when's it coming?
They're gonna set it up soon, delivery, so we'll find out here in the next week, I'd say.
And your closeouts?
Yes, we have 53,455.72 in our capital account. I know everybody's writing really fast.
Well, we just bought
53,455.72. Yeah, minus what we just bought, which is 3,500.
Minus what?
The 4,000,
3,500.
oh, is that the,
35. Heater.
So we have 49,955.72 after we get the heater installed. That's what we got. The things that we are currently waiting on an estimate for: Ramsey sheet metal, our overhead hanger door, right here. It's pulling away from the wood. That is something that has happened on lots of hangars out here, privately owned hangars. We also have a crack in the roof support beam, which happens when it pulls away from the wood. It pulls like the whole thing up. So TriStar Garage came out, of course, looked at it and said, yeah, you need to do something about that. They suggested we investigate reinforcing the wood with metal. So I asked around to find out, hey, what is a good place to contact? And I found out from our tenants, Ramsey Sheet Metal. They have reinforced a couple of privately owned hangar doors out here that had similar problems, including Bill Isley, Jack Dittmars, Dale Phillips was telling me about them too. So that will likely come out of our capital because I feel like it's going to be pretty expensive to reinforce that whole wood and then also the beams. I don't have a quote for that yet. He's getting me one. So he already came out and looked at it. He definitely knows that he can do the work and that it's going to hold up great, and he agrees that it's something that definitely should be done after looking at it. So that might have to come out of here. So that's one of the things. We also ordered new blades for the New Holland tractor plow. We do that every year now. City Central Maintenance used to weld blades on, which was great when they did that. They don't do that anymore because now we have the wings. So they don't do anything with the wings. So they said, you just need to order them. So New Holland, I ordered those. They usually cost us $4,000. Yeah.
Is that your capital? Is that
Yeah,
coming out of
that's
capital?
capital, yep. Next year won't have to because we have extra money in our operating.
Right.
But that's something that comes out of capital.
What's the blaze cost?
My estimate is between $1,600 and $2,000. So then we have to pay the private utility location for the fiber run, depending on how much that is. And whatever's left to encumber after that. And then, of course, we'll have enough to do the installation, unless for some reason spray foam is what we decide and it ends up being, a lot more or something. I mean, but we should have enough for that.
Yeah.
No, that'll be fine. And anything that's left over, I figured we could put in for land acquisition, for legal, and those costs, because we should be, hopefully, Paul's gonna talk about our possible grant next year for land acquisition. So we need to
You mean
finish that
possible.
up, right? So we should encumber anything else for that. But we will have next meeting to talk about this is how much we have after all this, and this is what we can encumber for that. Unless somebody can think of something else for like $5,000 or something, because that's what it'll probably be.
We can come up with something.
Besides land acquisition?
No,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Legislative luncheon?
Yes, legislative luncheon. So the LaPorte County Aviation Legislative Luncheon is something we have every year. And it's fun. Did you come last year? You did, didn't you?
No.
Are you sure?
It was in LaPorte last year.
Oh, it was in LaPorte last year. 2 years ago it would have been here. So we're having it here in Michigan City Airport. We have it every other year. We are shooting for Friday, December 6th at noon, pending legislator availability. We can only have 2 board members, of course, because we have to have a public meeting if it's more than 2 board members. So, of course, you go by number 1 and number 2 here, and they both can go. Hate to see it for anybody else. They can both go.
I'll be in
Well,
training.
you guys-
I'll be in training.
were you there last year, both of you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to go. You came last year.
I'm not saying I wanna go, I just.
Yeah, but I just remember you came last year.
I'm just checking.
I do remember you.
I wanna make sure Jeff gets a shot, you know?
Yeah,
So,
He's busy, he said.
yeah.
all right.
Yes, if you're not busy, let me know.
Absolutely,
Let me
yeah.
know.
So it's a catered luncheon. We discuss the status of aviation in our state. We also do the Aviation Indiana's 2020 legislative agenda. That's all Bart. He's great. And then we talk about current and future projects for our airport and LaPorte Airport. And the combined legislative luncheon, so Aviation Indiana does one every year as well, and it's February of next year, 2020, it'll be in February. And they do one, and they invite all the legislators for the whole state, and they invite all of us, airport managers or whoever wants to go.
Nice.
And we invite the legislators, let them know we're gonna be there. But we've always kind of done a combined one up here, and it's been really nice. We're one of the only counties in the whole state that has 2 general aviation airports in one county, and we're kind of a nice, close kind of family up here. So our legislators are some of the same, so we just have a combined one. So that's what we do up here. So the Legislator of the Year awards this year at the Aviation Indiana Conference actually went to our legislators up here, which was great. So Senator Mike Bahachik from District 8, he's both LaPorte and Michigan City Airport. And then Representative Jim Pressel for District 20, he is part of LaPorte County, but not right here. We have Pat Boyd, I believe. Right, Pat Boyd, yeah, for right here. So, but they're the ones that got the Legislator of the Year awards, which was so fantastic. So they'll be again December 6th,
What time?
noon. And it's gonna be right here. I will let you know, Gene, if for some reason that changes.
Okay.
Because we just wanna make sure that Bart's available, because he's a big proponent of it. Bart is the one, what did you say? He's the executive director
Executive Director
of Aviation Indiana.
and he's the,
He's the lobbyist for aviation in Indiana, so he's a big proponent of
and
it.
he said he is,
Oh, he is available, yes, he's available, so that'll be the day that we kind of put out, and hopefully the legislators are available, so we'll invite them all, and it'll be nice. I'll have to figure out where I'm getting it catered from. That's my favorite part, is hosting and organizing and the catering of the meal. Anyways, there you have it. And having these luncheons,
She's already excited.
I am. I love when we host
There's
it
gonna
every
be
year.
pecan pie, right?
Pecan pie, done deal. So, both, I just wanted to let you guys know too, which I thought was like really exciting, both Senator Bahachik, is that how you say his name? Bahachik, yeah. And Representative Jim Pressel, both of them are private pilots.
Really? That's
Isn't
good.
that amazing?
That's good.
It's not often that happens with state legislators or senators, and that's very exciting for us. They are both private pilots. You remember that, Paul? Yeah, isn't that exciting? So there you have it. That's my news you can use. That's it for me.
Okay. Tell us how to improve runway 2.
okay. Well, so you all should have an agenda in your packet and some attachments. But I think I'd like to work backwards today because the rest of it kind of feeds in. We're talking about the CIP meeting that happened at the conference. It was an interesting meeting. It was not one of our better ones, I would say. It started off okay with the EA discussion and the ALP discussion. Both are in a good spot and they're happy with them. So essentially ready to sign off. When we got to the money discussion, it got a little cantankerous. And they basically said they're over-programmed for the next several years on projects in Indiana, and that they're having to take a step back and take a look, and that there are several runway extension projects that have been on the books much longer than yours, and so they're trying to look at that. So what was interesting about that is we've had this schedule, or if you will, a funding scenario in place for basically 2 years we've been working on that. So we pushed it back in the meeting pretty hard, and we really didn't have a resolution in the meeting.
Just a question, sorry to interrupt, but where was this calendar where everyone started the process with the runway extension? Where was the start date for any of this? How did they determine that we are behind XYZ airport?
That's a good question.
Right, because as Jessica pointed out, we tried for 15 years going the other direction.
I'm just,
And I pointed that out to Deb.
Yeah, that was brought up, and I think Rob kind of drew the line at when you did your reboot,
Yeah, your current plan, that's what his drawing.
and that,
so the other stuff doesn't exist, in other words.
well, it was, hey, we gotta go back to the drawing board and there is a new plan, so,
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they never denied us to go north. There was never a denial, there was never not a FONSI, but what is the
environmental assessment.
yeah, the mitigation, there was
Right.
never a mitigatable response to any of our environmentals.
Right.
All it was it actually more or less vaporized.
And
It
turn
just
it
went
into
away.
tree trimming.
Went away. We spent, $100,000, $1 million,
Yeah.
and next thing we know, oh, we're just gonna give you a tree trimming FONSI,
Right.
if you will.
That's called a bureaucratic no.
Oh my
But there was never a letter that said significant impact was found,
Right.
and now we need to go to the next level and figure out how to mitigate.
Right. I agree.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate, I mean, and there are, several runway extension projects, and in full disclosures, some of them are our clients. So I have intimate details. I also know of the ones that aren't our clients, and I know how long they've been working on. And some of them legitimately have been working on probably as long as yours. Some have not.
Okay, I'm sorry, I mean, I didn't realize that timeline was a major factor in determining priority. I always thought purpose and need was a major factor that determined what is a priority.
It is, and that's what and I think the good news is they say the project is eligible, it's justified, you got everything in there. It's just now there's a queue on the money. And I think that's where the timeline comes in, is because if everybody has approved environmental and everybody has their ALP and everybody has their runway link justification, and on as far as checkbox pre-qualifications, they're all equal, now they're gonna use wait time, basically. How long has the airport been waiting for this project? Because the money, and to put it in perspective on the money, so Indiana gets $60 million a year. That's gone down. We used to get closer to between 80 and 90. So I challenged, hey, you need to get your discretionary back up in the state. That's one thing. But also at $60 million, the projects, the real pressure is not these runway extensions. If the primary airports weren't doing the big projects that they have slated over the next 5 years, there would be plenty of money for the runway extensions. But the issue is Indianapolis's runways are all at the 30-year-old mark.
Also, they have a much higher purpose and need.
They have, yeah, I mean,
Right.
when it comes to.
So and that's what's gonna happen next year and the year after. Somebody else is gonna come to the table and says, well, I don't care, our purpose and need is much more important today than anybody else's today.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think eventually it'll trickle up to the top because, so of the 60 million, they're not gonna let Indianapolis and South Bend take it all, maybe half or
Whatever they need.
2/3, but they're always gonna put a little bit into GA. But that's what I'm saying is that I think we'll get there, and we have, after the meeting, we were quite frustrated, and I did express extreme concern in the meeting because we have spent a lot of time and effort negotiating the property. And that's what the FAA wants you to do, because they do not want to enter into a grant on property that hasn't been negotiated, because it has a risk of tying up grant funds for years in litigation if you can't reach an agreement. So the AIP handbook, the instructions on how to get their money, basically says negotiate a purchase agreement or have a deed in hand before you come and ask us for the money for the land.
Okay.
So that's what we've done. We've gotten the review appraisal on the one parcel, and we made an offer. we are we've reached a pending agreement on that parcel, subject to working out the agreement on another parcel. So that's where we're at. It feeds into this. So as we get the review appraisal, hopefully next month now, and we're able to make an offer on that, we'll have these purchase agreements. So after the meeting, I spent a lot of time, particularly with Rob Escobar, the assistant manager, discussing, look, this is ill-advised to pull the money on the land because it's really gonna sour the negotiation process with these landowners. And we've got 2 years invested in this negotiation with these landowners. So, it'll kill us. We can't do that. So they worked around, and we're back on the discretionary candidate list. So we have the money slated for the land, so that takes us into the CIP. So on the paper with the white and yellow lines, the 2020 item, that's what we're back in the game on that. And I take that as a small victory because they're putting us back in the game for this year. Assuming we get purchase agreements all negotiated, we'll have the land, and that's a big step. So let's take that and run with it because it keeps us in the game.
I see that, and I appreciate everything you do, Paul. I mean, you work hard at this, and sometimes it's difficult going against a system that kind of changes the rules in midstream and says, okay, this is what we're going to do. We want to partially fund it. We want to piecemeal this, and because we can't put it all in one. So we're gonna buy pieces of it, and now all of a sudden they change it on us again and say, well, we're not gonna buy pieces anymore. We're gonna go here first, and then we'll go here, and then we'll go, well, I guess whoever's next in line based on this timeline that is probably not in the instruction. I don't know. Well, first in, first served. I don't know. I didn't know that was part of it. I mean, when we're competing against dollars. South Bend and Indy, they compete on their own dollars. They're on a different shelf than we are, like with Gary. They just bought that airport at Gary and extended that runway. Spent millions of dollars. And that, that big money stuff, that goes to the big airports. So, we're sitting here, we're a small airport, just like every other small airport, and we're competing for the small airport funds. We're not really,
it's the same pot of money.
Yeah, but we're not going to take away South Bend or Indy's money. They're always going to have their monies. Yeah. And then we're going to be competing against every other small airport for the leftover, if you will.
And that's exactly why Gary was able to get it, because they kind of bounce between having scheduled service and not having scheduled service.
They don't have a carrier that goes to Gary.
Right, not right now, right. But when
Pan Am, I think that was what, during the whole construction was Pan Am, right?
At the initial, approval.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Anyway.
Well, Stroud must.
I mean, we're looking at CIP. If I pull back the drafts from our other CIPs that we put in, I mean, it's pretty, it's frustrating for me, and I just keep seeing it. It just keeps moving down.
Well, this one isn't moved down. We're going to submit it. This is exactly the same.
Well, the 2021 is not. I mean, 13,000 for 2021.
That's what it was last year.
2022, we're looking at.
Well, that's not what we submitted, but that's what they committed.
No, we have much higher numbers in 2020.
But that's what they committed to last year. They never had money in 2021. They had the next big chunk in 2022.
22, which was significantly higher than.
Right. So what they had, basically what we have in 2022, see our year 2022?
Yeah.
That's what they had in their program for 2022. They don't have that money in their program for 2022. It was basically just a touch under 4 million. It's 3.6.
3.3.
Right. 3.6 million total and 3.3 Fed. Yeah. So we're gonna keep the ask for 2022 exactly where it was at. They had us in 2021 they actually have you rolling, not taking a grant at all in 2021, and that's what they had last year.
Or I thought this was last year, this past year we rolled for next year.
You did. They had you rolling 19, taking land in 20, rolling 21, getting the utilities and temporary road bill in 2022, and then in 2023, we were going to actually start grading on the road, digging the road deep and
Right.
and piggyback. So the issue will be, will 2022 hold? And we have another issue with water and sewer because, all those utilities needed to be moved before we start digging the road down. So we started negotiating that. So, what we did there was we said, look, guys, it's probably not wise to keep digging a hole that we may not have the money for right away. But I want a reimbursable agreement so we can put the request in to the FAA. Because on the utilities, they don't pay for the utilities off of bids like we do with the runway. They pay the utilities based off of reimbursable agreements because the utilities are sole source. You don't have a choice. The water line's owned by whoever the water line's owned by, and you have to pay whatever the water line people want in the negotiated reimbursable agreement. So we need to get that established. The water and the sewer people were in the process of doing the design so they could establish the value that they wanted in the reimbursable agreement. The only issue is if they're not going to be paid back for an unknown specified period of time, we don't want them to incur a lot of costs because they get paid back with the reimbursable agreement. So what I've asked is, can we go to a somewhat smaller exposure, go to 30% design, come up with the estimate, and if they feel comfortable negotiating the rest of the agreement on it, then we enter into the reimbursable agreement between the airport and the utility. We use that to submit to the FAA. We do not finish the design until we actually have that under grant. That way, it reduces.
Would they do that? Would they do a partial grant on design?
The FAA is not paying for the design of the utilities, they're paying for the utility reimbursable agreement. So it's going to include the design fee and all the construction costs for the utility. Because it's a relocation agreement, and they're reimbursable. Those are reimbursable with discretionary dollars, but construction is not. So I think that's a smarter play to limit local exposure, racking up big engineering bills, quite frankly, with our other division, if we're not guaranteed the money.
Can't we use non-discretional for that?
We can use we can use the non-primary entitlement, and that's something in 2021. Rather than paying ourselves back for the roadway design, we've gotten some of that money back already. But rather than reimbursing the rest of it at the $262,600, if we want, we could do a partial reimbursement on the utilities if we needed to, if politically we have to. So there's some things that are going there, and I just say, who remembers that Paula Abdul song from the late '80s? You take one step forward, take two steps back. Let's just take this one step forward. Okay. We'll probably take two steps back, but let's take this step forward to get this land secured so we can keep progressing the football towards the end zone, and then we'll work really hard. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, what working really hard means. I mean, it could be, and Jessica did a nice job talking to Deb, who is Rob's boss, right, and asking, so where are we in the line? Mm-hmm. And that's a question that wasn't answered. And honestly, off the bat, I may have started some of this mess. Because for the longest time, we felt like the bureaucracy would not approve documents because they were purposely trying to stagger their approval to match their funding stream.
Sure.
And what I convinced them, and maybe it's wrong based on your reaction, but what I convinced them is look, if everybody, don't hold up documents. Approve the documents. If it's a good project, say it's a good project. And then if you run out of money, just sit down with people and say, we're out of money. Everybody understands there's a finite amount of money in the world, and you can only do so many things. And this is how we're going to fund them. Be transparent with people and say, this is the project, this is the project, this is the project, and this is where you're at in line.
Yeah, but they changed the game, like, within the last few months. They changed it from partially funding here, here, and here to, we're just gonna put all our resources here now. And then next up, here.
There has been over the last couple of years a change in the philosophy of stop phasing projects and try to do bigger chunks of projects all at the same time.
But for operating, that's better for us.
Yes.
It's better for us to get the project one, done, move on to the next
Absolutely.
airport. So that's what we prefer, even though it just caught us off guard because it's in the middle of what we're trying to do. It's what's best for our airport. And hopefully our end time is gonna be the same. We're just gonna get more money in 2 years than the same amount of money over 6 years.
And it'll all work, but there's more players than just the FAA. There's the state involved too, and they kind of dictate. They have a big pawn in the game where they say, "Hey, this money, you FAA, needs to go over here." So, you know,
Yeah.
if it was just us and them, it would be okay. But there's
Well, I think the discussion caught the state off guard a little bit too.
It did.
What's that?
The discussion caught the state off guard too at that meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so.
So, do they have, something called, I mean, all states have that, the federal should have that too, universalizability rules. That's what you're getting at.
yeah.
Where, you know, everybody on the table, doesn't matter when you come in, play by the same rules.
Yeah.
And at least they let you know where you are in the
Right.
process. Right?
Yes.
I mean, are those things in existence, or is somebody just arbitrarily changing the, you know?
No, there's rules, and that's what the NIPIAS ranking is. This is the scale from 1 to 100 on how well the project ranks. But then that number goes up higher when you're an air carrier and you have scheduled service, the number's higher. When you're a general aviation airport, the number's lower. When you're a general aviation airport and you have 100 based aircraft, the number is higher than if you're a general aviation aircraft and airport and you only have 50 based aircraft. And so they tier it based on the size of the airport, how many operations, do you have scheduled service, do you not? And yes, so that all goes into that score over there. And then if you have two projects that are equally scored, what they're saying is they're using, and so what they do is they have that pot of money. There's 3.3 billion nationally, so we could even go up to nationally. So they got 3.3 billion. The first thing they do is they fund all of the entitlements. So your 150,000, Indianapolis gets roughly 5 million because of their employments. They get that. South Bend gets their 2.5 million. So they fund all the entitlements. Everybody's entitled to their entitlements. Then the states have an entitlement. It's called state apportionment dollars. And that's based on how many airports they have and how much square footage they have. And it's spread out. So the state gets a pot, and that runs around $2 to $4 million a year, depending on how the math is working for Indiana. So Indiana will get $4 million in state apportionment per year. And that's their entitlement. They get to use it wherever they want, so long as it's at one of the airports. And then the rest of the money is discretionary money. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's at the discretion, but they follow these rankings. And so as they fund projects, they start with the highest priority project, and the airport really doesn't matter because it's scored by the ranking. So it takes the airport name out of it, and it's based on a project selection, not necessarily a location. So then they go down the list, The normal cutoff for discretionary in Indiana is around a 60. So you can see your project's an 89. But in a year where you might have an Indianapolis project that is a 95,
Sure.
and it's a $100 million project, and you're only bringing 60 million to the thing, they're not going to say, oh, all 60 million goes to that, and we're running out at priority ranking number 5, but they will probably throw, okay, guess what? We're going to put 30 million of the 60 at Indianapolis this year because you know, they've got $100 million runway project and we can't do it over 5 years, you know.
I only have one last question. I'm sorry to belabor this, but because it's happened in the past, these things that we've done in the past, they all have timelines, they all have shelf lives.
Yeah.
So now we get the ALP updated, we get the survey all updated, it had a shelf life.
Right.
Is that shelf life now indefinite because we're like in this holding pattern, or is it still ticking?
We wish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're kind of against the clock then.
The ALP will have a 5-year shelf life before they say, you know, you might have to do that again, and that's based on the survey data and all that junk.
What about the EA though?
The EA only has a 3-year shelf life,
I thought
and
it was
then you
much.
have to do a written reevaluation. Now, we've had some EAs that have lapsed, and they've done a written reevaluation, and it's a really pretty straightforward process. And
Yeah, but it was still $80,000.
On the EA written reevaluation is usually not that bad unless you have significant wetland delineations, and that's not what we have here. So your EA written reevaluation probably wouldn't be that much, but the ALP would. Because the ALP, if you remember, I mean, it's $100,000 in surveying.
Right.
And that's not even anything. We do it, it's airplanes flying around taking pictures and things. So that's, yeah, so that is a risk.
Okay. I just wanted the board to be aware that, yeah, it's not an indefinite thing.
But I mean, all I can tell you is I'm not gonna quit.
Yeah.
I was hired to build this runway. We're gonna build this runway. And we're gonna figure out a way to do it. And
I can't believe you don't have another question, Dick.
I tried to.
Please do not upset him anymore.
I knew talking about the CIP meeting would basically allow us to talk on all the other talking points throughout.
I'll approve it now. I'll make a motion, we approve CIP. We don't have to though, right now.
You don't have to, you can,
No.
you have until January to approve it. So this is draft, but what I would like you to make a motion on today is the grant pre-app. And so they've come up, again, changing the rules of the game a little bit different. They never used to require pre-applications. The pre-application is a new thing so they can try to make sure we have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed going into the.
So we can get in line.
So the
So we can
pre-app
pay somebody to get us in line.
Where's that?
is attached to the back of the CIP,
My mess.
and for the purposes of this discussion, that the grant amount matches the exact amount in the CIP first line. But understand it's a pre-app, so that can change. When we actually get the appraisal done on the second parcel owner, and we make the offers and we negotiate, we will change it to the exact numbers. But they're asking for an app pre-December 1st, so we could,
Pre-December 1st.
yeah, they want it by December 1st, so. And understand, this isn't the final application, this is just a placeholder. And considering we had to really twist some arms to keep the land acquisition on DCL, I strongly recommend you sign this and do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't talk numbers.
When did they come up with this?
Don't talk
Sorry.
numbers.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept the pre-app for, what is that number? $1,164,023.15.
That's it.
All in favor? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. That's, I think we covered all the other talking points in my agenda as we talked about the PLP meeting, so.
Yeah.
It's a setback.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, I appreciate it.
So we're looking at like 20, what, 20, 30 to finish it?
But we have an unspecified commitment on the time right now, as well.
Yeah, that's,
What we managed to keep a commitment on is we're gonna help you buy this land,
Acquisition.
and then we're gonna have to see how the rest of the program shakes out.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, yeah,
Old business was the purchase
Purchase agreement for
agreement for Ton and Blank. We're in a holding pattern for that. We're waiting until next month, but I have to keep it on there because it's still old business until we get the negotiations done.
okay.
Do we need a special session for that, or is that gonna be a?
Oh yeah, you wanna talk about that? Are we
Yeah.
gonna want one in December?
I think we will have the appraisal and review appraisal done for the second parcel owner. So it would be good to have the executive session prior to the meeting, and then so you are able to take action at the meeting at the next one to make offers.
So 5 PM, does that work for everybody?
In December.
In December, on the 12th, I think,
Yeah.
which is the second Thursday. 5 PM,
why 5 p.m.?
because it has to be before our 6 PM meeting?
Executive session.
Oh, executive?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
I won't be here for sure.
Okay.
You say you will not?
I will not. I'm gone the 8th through the 14th. I've got recurrent training for work. Summer's always a hard month.
Actually,
All set.
It's my daughter's Christmas birthday.
Okay, so then let's move the meeting
3.
What?
early, unless everybody else.
Wait.
Paul won't be here either, and he's a very big proponent of the meeting.
As long as Bill
mine?
Bison can be
The
there.
8th through the 14th is 6 days straight. I can tomorrow look at my schedule. I don't know for sure and just give you the whole month.
Okay.
And if you
Yeah, it worked before where you just screenshot it.
yeah, I'll do that, and then that
awesome.
way you guys can
Yeah,
try to. If not,
yeah, figure out if we need to change. I'll find out from Bill too,
All
if
right.
he's available, because if Paul isn't here, Bill has to be here, so, for the executive session.
Okay, so we're not,
I could do the 17th or 19th.
so we're
I can
flowing
do the
this
following
one,
week.
right? The 12th is,
We can't bring it early though, we kinda want it earlier because all the encumbrances and stuff need to be in on the 13th, remember the
You wanna
day
do the
after our
5th?
board meeting? I mean, I'm just saying,
that's okay with me.
I think it can work after.
What day is that? Is that a Thursday?
Thursday, yeah, it's the first Thursday in
First
December.
Thursday? Yeah, we can
Can
do
you
that.
make
I
that?
think so.
We can
We're
do
just
that.
thinking we got legislative luncheon the next day.
yeah, good idea. So you check your schedule and then,
All right, I'm gonna put it down,
you're okay?
yeah, I'm gonna put it down, just.
You're okay, Jean? December 5th?
Mhm.
Yeah, good too, because we get to, some of us might be traveling.
So 5 and then 6.
December 5th.
Yeah, executive session and then regular session.
You said that's the 5th.
You're the claims docket.
It's floating,
Oh,
it's to you. Very light month, 7,000.
Yep, I'm good. It's Thursday the 5th. I'm good.
You're good Thursday the 5th? Awesome, so I'll reach out to Bill tomorrow.
Any new business?
I sent out an email to everybody, I don't know if you all got it. There's a newsletter out of report, we can talk about that next month.
This is up to black. Okay, claims docket, everybody's had a chance to look at it, entertain a motion to accept the claims docket as written.
I'll make a motion, we accept it for $7,836.92.
I second it.
All in favor? Motion carries. Let's see, I think that's it.
Take motion with John?
Second?
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.